Welcome back. So in this video, let's try to understand few special functions which we generally used while doing which we generally use while doing Python programming. That is zip, map, and filter. So let's start a discussion with zip. So basically, what is zip? So as the name says, it is used for combining things. It's basically called as an aggregator function also. It is an aggregator basically. Aggregator. So aggregator in the sense what? It is trying to combine things, right? Aggregator. It is trying to combine things. So that is called as zip. Now let's assume you have two or three different lists and you want to combine this. You want to do it parallel processing. You want to do if you want to parallelly iterate through that, or if you want to combine this, we can use a zip. Okay. Let's see a practical example. Then you'll be having a clarity. Let's assume I'm having a list called as name, and in that, let's assume I'm having few names, like maybe something like this, or just I'm taking some random names. Okay, and and the respective ages, let's assume respective ages of that particular names. Maybe Abhishek is having the age of 26, Surya is having the age of 25, and Test is having the age of maybe 30. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to map these particular name with their respective age. Means I want to make Abhishek as 22, Surya as 25, and Test as 30. In general, how do you do? If you want to do this, either you need to iterate through two for loops and combine these two things, right? But you can do this in a single go by using zip function. So what we can do is we can just give zip of name comma age, right? You can just give a zip of name comma age. Let's see what happens. And here you can give more than two lists also, but let's assume with two lists. Again, here you can give any iterable object. You can give a list or a tuple. So any iterable object you can give. So let me give two lists right now. So let's see what happens. So you can see it is returning a zip object. But what if I want in the form of a list of elements? Then what we can do is you can give it as a list. You can convert into the form of a list, and you can see you're getting in terms of a list. So you can see here now Abhishek is mapped out to 26. So you can see you're getting a list of tuples basically. Here we are getting a list of tuples where each tuple is a mapped a combination of first element with the respective first element of the second list, right? So Abhishek is mapped with 26, Surya is mapped with 25, and Test is with 30. So they're just combining things. That is what zip is. Okay. But what if I want to convert this into dictionary? So you can convert this into dictionary. If you just convert into a dictionary, it will be something like this, where the key will be your first list element and the value will be the second list element. In the same way goes to the other things. So like this you can do. And also I can iterate this. I can actually, it is also mostly use it for iterations, right? If you want to parallelly iterate two different lists, I want to iterate this list with respect to this list, I can actually do this. Generally, if I want to iterate in general without zip function, you should write two for loops, but here you can do it in a single go. It is a single for loop. How? So you can just say for name, comma age, or you can say comma just n comma a. Okay, just a variable name in zip of name comma age. So by doing this way, what happens is uh, already you know that zip will be converted into form of list of tuples. So each element is given n comma a. So if I just print, if I just print this n comma a, you can see you are getting Abhishek 26, Surya 25, and Test 30. So in this way, either you can directly convert into list or dictionary and use it, or you can also iterate and iterate two elements, two different lists in a same way, in a parallel way. So what if I have more than two lists? Yes, we can also iterate if you have more than two lists. Let's assume you have name, age. Along with this two list, you also have one more list, maybe gender. Okay, and let's assume these are your genders. Okay, Now I want to map the respective name, age, and gender. So exactly same way you can do. You can take a list of name, comma age, and here you can take a gender. So you can also map more than two lists also. You can use more than two lists also in zip function. And you can see Abhishek 26 male, Surya 25 male, and test 30 male female. So in this way, you can map, you can aggregate three or more, two or more lists in this particular zip by using this particular name zip. And obviously when you're using iterator, you can just do like this: n comma a comma g and maybe g, and you're able to iterate like so. In this way, you can iterate through a zip function, right? So here the main idea of zip function is, first thing is to aggregate your multiple lists, and second thing is you're able to do a parallel iteration through multiple lists, right? And what happens by chance if the number of elements are not matching? Okay, let's assume we have three elements in name and only two elements in each. What happens in this case? How exactly zip function works? So let's see. So basically what happens is, if you just see, you can clearly understand. So you can see you are having only two elements. So basically zip stops at the shortest element, okay, shortest length element or shortest length iterator. So here, as age is having only two elements, so it will be mapped only with the two elements of name, and the other element is ignored. So that's how zip works. So even though if you don't have even though you don't have matching elements also, this zip function works. So this is a simple use case of how zip function works. Now let's see how exactly map function works. So as the name says, map function, map basically try to map a function to a iterable. Okay. So what is the role of map function? It will just try to map a function to a iterable. So what do I mean by this? Okay. For example, let's assume I'm having a list like this. Okay. Random elements, something like this. Okay. I'm having some random numbers. Okay. And I want to apply a square root of this particular list. I want to apply a square root function for this particular list. So let's assume the square root function is present in math library, right? So in general, you can just import math. And if I just say math dot square root of maybe 2, I am able to get the square root of this one. But I want to apply this particular square root to every element of my list and create a new list. Okay, I want to create a new list. So if I want to do this particular task, either I have to go for some loop and iterate through each and every element, apply square root and take a new list and append it, right? That's how generally we will do. Okay, but we can do this in a single go by using the map function. So what map function does is, you can start initializing your map function, and map function takes two arguments mainly. Mainly you have to give two arguments. One is the function. First one is a function, which function you want to apply, to the each element. Okay, and the second argument is the iterable. Iterable can be a list or a tuple, any iterable object in Python. Okay, so first let me apply the function. So I'll just say math dot square root. That's it. Just you have to give in this particular way. Math dot sqrt. That's it. Don't give in a form of a bracket. Just this is fine. Just the function name. That's it. Okay. So this is a function name, and the which list you want to apply. So this is my list. I want to apply to this. Okay. So what happens is, this particular function is applied to every element of this particular list. So it's clearly saying that map this particular function to every element of the list. So then what happens if we just run this? So let me give this properly. Yeah. So now what happens is, you'll be getting a map object. You're getting a map object. But if I want to convert back into list, you can directly say a list, right? It is returning a map object, but if we just convert into a list, you're getting a list, right? So you can see for every element in the list, it is trying to apply a square root function, and then you can create a new list called as L2, where you have the updated list, right? You have the updated list. So right now we have applied a function from our library, but what if I want to apply my own function? Maybe I want to find out the power, or I want to find out power 2 of every element in this. So I'll just define a function called as some power, right? This is my own function. I'll take one element here, some random element, I'll call it as ELE. And what I will do is I will return every element, whatever element I'll get power 2, okay? Power 2. So whenever I call this particular function in general, right, what happens? If I just send 3, I'll be getting 9, right? So in this way, you will be getting a simple power. But what if I want to apply to the list? I want to apply this particular power function to the every element of the list, maybe this particular list itself. So in that case also you can simply say map of, instead of square root, if you put power, just the function name is fine. No need of any braces, just the function name, map of power comma L. So what happens here is to the same every element. So every element will be ELE right now. So ELE power 2. So it will return that particular power. So whatever the function is returning, that particular element will be appended in the new list. I mean, it is automatically mapped. And finally, if you just convert into a list, you can clearly see that it is applying power 2 to every element in this particular list. So either you can apply a inbuilt function or a library function, or you can apply your own function to the map and to a iterator. So in this way, a simple map function works. So map function is used to apply a function to a iterator. That's it. That's the main idea of map function. Now let's go to the filter function. So filter function will be almost same like map. The way you write the filter function will be almost same like map. Here also in the filter function also, you need to give the function name and also the iterable. But the difference here is in filter function, it will not return the map, it will not return the output, but it will filter the output. The name says it will filter the output. What do I mean by this? Let me give an example. Okay. For example, you have a list of elements here. Now here in this list of elements, I want to remove all the even numbers from this list. I want to filter out all the even numbers from the list. I want to have only the odd numbers from this particular list. How do I do that in general? Again, same thing, you can do a for loop, and if it is an even number, you can remove it, and if it is an odd number, you can keep it. But you can use a remove function for that in list. But I can do this in a single go by using the filter function and by applying a function. So first, let me define a function, and I'll just say filter even. Okay, I'll just call my function name as filter even. Okay, and I'll take an element here, and you know the logic, right? So if your element is if it is giving a quotient of 0 when it is multiplied by, when it is divided by 2, it is an even number. So I'll just say return. So now if we just observe here, when I'm writing this particular function, and whenever a particular element is 2, so what is my end goal here? I want to remove even numbers, right? Even numbers. So whichever element you want to remove, whichever element you want to filter out, for that particular element, you should return false, and else return true. So whichever element you want to keep, whichever element you want to have in your list, that particular element, for that particular elements, you have to put true. So you can clearly see that for even number of elements, I'm returning false. And so your function, whenever you're applying a filter function, that particular function should return a Boolean values, either true or false. So whichever element is returning false, it will remove, and whichever element is returning true, it will keep it. Okay. So now let's see what happens here. I'll just apply filter, and I'll be applying this filter even function here. So here also same thing. First, we have to give the function name, and second one is the iterable. So function name and the iterable is L. So it is also returning the filter object. If I want to convert, I'll be converting into a list, and you can see here. So you can see here, I'm only having the odd numbers because whichever numbers is actually returning true, okay, that particular numbers will be present in this particular list, and whichever numbers is returning false, it will be false. So what happens here is again same thing. It will be applying for every element. It will be applying this particular function, and if that particular function is false, is returning false, it will remove that particular element. It will not consider that particular element, And if the function is present, if the particular element is returning true, the function will have that particular element, will keep that particular element. So the name says filter. It will filter out some elements. So this is like an advanced special function which you can use in order to apply filtering in a single go without using any loops or without using any kind of huge conditions, right? It's just a simple condition, simple function using this. Okay, this is how a map, filter, and zip function works, guys. I hope you are clear with this, right? Thank you.